United States, at the same moment when you create a piece of original art, take an original photo, or write a piece of original text, something magical happens. A copyright is born, and you get to decide what to do with it. And the people who take your art and use it without your permission, they are stealing. The fancy word for this is copyright infringement. Today, we'll talk about what copyright is, why it matters, and how not to get in trouble with copyright laws. Copyright applies to artwork, music, and the written word. For this video, I'm mostly talking about visual art and design, but these principles cover all of the areas of creative expression. Disclaimer, I am not a lawyer, and I am not giving you legal advice. I am a college professor, studio owner, creative director, motion designer, and animator, and I'm sharing this from my understanding of this subject. Again, I'm not a lawyer and I don't play one on TV. Yet. If you need to jump to certain parts in the video, we have chapters marked down in the description. So, why does copyright matter? It matters because copyright is important for anyone in the creative field, especially if you're making videos or artwork and using materials from others. But most people get confused about copyright. Our goal is to understand copyright so you don't break the rules and get in trouble. Now, before we get too far into it, have you subscribed to my channel yet? Because if you are subscribed, you'll get to know whenever a new video drops. And if you like this video, if it's proving even a little bit helpful, let me know by giving us a thumbs up and I can make more videos like this. So, what does copyright do? It makes you the owner of the work and protects artwork, writing, and music from being stolen. It protects the author's right to make copies, the right to print it, and the right to put it on products like t-shirts, framed art, and so on. Copyright is created the moment an artwork is created. This happens when you make art, when you take a photo, when you write a piece of original text. When you so much as make a single sketch, the copyright is born at the same moment. And this is an old US law dating back to 1790, when the first Copyright Act gave authors limited control over their work for a set period of time. Over time, copyright terms expanded, and now works created after 1977 are protected for the author's entire life plus 70 years. After that period ends, the work enters what's called the public domain. There are some really great websites where you can check out what has entered the public domain recently. Just FYI, this year, 2026, Nancy Drew has entered the public domain. I know, it's so cool. Nancy Drew has entered the public domain, which means people can make derivative works inspired by the Nancy Drew novels because it's now in the public domain. Downloading and printing someone else's illustration without their permission is violating copyright. Creating a remix of a copyrighted song that's then sold for money is violating copyright. But who owns the copyright? Usually it's the person who made the art, wrote or performed the music, or wrote the text. But sometimes, if you're working for a company, you might have signed a work for hire agreement, and that work for hire agreement means that anything you create for the company belongs to them. And not just the artwork or music belongs to them, the copyright too. When you post your art on Instagram, your website, or Pinterest, it doesn't mean that you're sharing your copyright with the world. Just because something's online also doesn't mean it's free for you to use. For example, Pinterest gathers content, but the original creator still owns the copyright. You may be asking then, what's the point of Pinterest for artists? Well, the point, as far as I understand it, is really for creating mood boards and for gathering inspiration. Mood boards are places where you gather inspiration images that will help inform the project you're about to work on. You're basically looking at ideas, looking at how other people have created the same type of thing, and you are allowed to be inspired by those images. You're allowed to collect image sources that you say, this is cool, check this out, to your friends. But you're not allowed to trace it. You're not allowed to cut up the images and make a new poster and sell it. You're not allowed to remix the images from the mood boards. Mood boards are ideas. Pinterest is for collecting ideas. It is not source material. So one thing to note about Pinterest, most of the images on it were not put there by the artists themselves. So the work being distributed online is done without the artist knowing about it and without their permission. So just because you found that, oh, Sally Smith uploaded this piece of art, don't think you can contact Sally Smith to see if it's okay to use that art. Because if you found it on Pinterest, there's a good chance that the person who posted it didn't create that art and they didn't have permission to put it up. Google Images is another great place to look for mood board images. You can also look at websites, you can look at Instagram, and just keep in mind that these sources are for inspiration and gathering ideas only, not for direct use, not for tracing, and not for cutting it up and making new work out of it, okay? So what does it mean to break copyright law? Well, when you break copyright law, if the artist who created the original work or the company who owns the copyright, like Disney, finds out, they can sue you. And being sued means that you might have to pay a lot of money to get out of trouble. You may have heard this phrase, fair use. And fair use means that you can use parts of a copyrighted work without permission in very specific situations. This is intended to protect creativity. This is so people can learn, they can comment, they can build on ideas, and it tries to be fair to creators while still allowing learning and free expression. The purpose of fair use is really to balance copyright law with the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which is free speech. Fair use is allowed for things like criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, and school use, research, and scholarship. To decide if something is fair use, the court looks at 4 things. First, there's why you used it and the purpose of your use. School or nonprofit is considered to be better than, let's say, commercial use. Second, they consider what kind of work it is. For example, facts are much easier to use than creative art. Third, they ask how much of the work did you use. It's safer to use a small portion, as small of a portion as you need to get your point across, rather than using a larger excerpt. And most importantly, fourth, whether it hurts the sales or value of the original work. You have to be able to explain why your use is fair, and the courts usually focus mostly on those 4 factors. Now here's the fine print. Fair use doesn't mean that you can't get sued. It just means you might win if you get sued. What about giving away or selling your copyright? You can sell your copyright, you can give it away, or you can let people use it in specific ways. This is called a usage agreement. Or there are different types of Creative Commons uses that we'll talk about later. Giving away or selling a copyright happens through contracts, usage agreements, and licensing. A usage agreement defines how the work is allowed and not allowed to be used. It explains who can use the artwork, how they're allowed to use it, whether they have to use it as it was made, or if they can remix, and whether they have to credit the original artist. It also defines how long the work can be used for. So if you've ever been on a stock website like iStock Photo, Getty Images, Shutterstock, or Adobe Stock, all of these are allowing you to purchase usage of those images or videos or sounds. You don't own the material, but you're allowed to use it for a project. Next, let's talk about reproduction versus adaptation. Reproduction in this context means you're taking the original artwork and you're printing it on other things or making products based on that artwork. Some people call this print on demand, and one of the most popular print on demand and first print on demand places was Cafe Press. You can also make products from work that you own the copyright for, or that you have purchased usage allowance for from these different print-on-demand places, or you can print your own photos or other artwork at places like Staples or Walgreens. Adaptation, remix, or an adaptive work includes tracing the artwork, cutting it up, and collaging, and making new artwork based on that. There are some real-world examples of this that are definitely worth looking into. Shepard Fairey is a famous illustrator. If you're a little older like me, you might know him from the Andre the Giant Has a Posse posters that were big in the 90s. Well, he used a photo of Barack Obama from the Associated Press to make a poster, and that poster became very popular. The original photo had been taken by a freelance photographer named Manny Garcia for the Associated Press, and Shepard Fairey was sued in a pretty massive lawsuit. Something really important to understand is that if you don't understand copyright law, that fact doesn't protect you, and you could still be punished for breaking it. You've probably heard of people getting traffic tickets for having one headlight out. They didn't know that it was illegal to drive with just one headlight, or they didn't realize the headlight had gone out. They still got a ticket. It's the same idea here. So, what are some safe sources for downloading images and videos that are free to use? Pexels is a great place to go. So is Pixabay. Creative Commons Zero images and videos means that the creator is giving the copyright to the world. You can take Creative Commons Zero, also known as CC0 images, videos, trace them up, cut them up, and remix them freely. It's kind of awesome. And there's CC4, which is the Creative Commons Attribution License. Creative Commons Attribution License is similar to CC0, but you must credit the original creator. Another option would be to purchase photo or artwork usage from Shutterstock, Getty Images, or iStock Photo. You can also download photos to use from Adobe Stock if you have a subscription. Even with these sources, be sure to read their terms of service before using the photos for any purpose, just to make sure you're not breaking any rules. Let's talk a little bit about where you can find public domain images. Earlier in the video, we had talked about public domain and how after a certain period of time, copyrighted works enter the public domain. Places where you can find public domain sources are archive.org and the New York Public Library Digital Collections. And again, always check the rights section because sometimes on archive.org or in the New York Public Library Digital Collections, you will find work that is still under copyright. Now, why does this matter professionally? Breaking copyright doesn't just affect you and your bank account. If you're working for a company, the company could get sued. This is why following copyright rules is critical. How can you avoid trouble though? Well, you can use photos you shot yourself. You can use materials that were listed as Creative Commons Zero. You can use materials that are in the public domain. And this last part is super important, especially if you're working for someone. Collect a list of your sources as you're working. Every time you download an image or video, copy the link where you got that image and what the image was into a document. It's so much easier to collect these links while you're working instead of afterward because you probably won't remember everywhere you collected the sources from, and your client, employer, or their lawyer might require this information. This is especially important when you're working with big companies or you're creating work that will be shown far and wide. So, all of this to say that copyright is serious business. Copyright law applies to you even if you didn't mean to break it. Knowing these rules protects you and the people that you work for, whether that's a full-time employer or a freelance client. By understanding copyright law, you can stay out of trouble and make original work the right way. I hope this video was helpful. If you have ideas or questions about copyright that you would like to talk about, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.